वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे वीर परायण.
Madam Ambassador, Professor Seiler, thank you very much for inviting me for this very special occasion. Like many others in here, I've been inspired by Gandhi, and I think it has influenced a whole lot of my work and my activities. And maybe here today I will mainly speak as an environmentalist. That since my high school days, I have been part of the environmental movement, active in a number of environmental organizations, and still find that a field of work where a lot of things need to be done, and where Gandhiji does serve an important reference and role model. But before going to that, I'd just like to note that I think it's very good that these kind of discussions are organized, because for a couple of years I think many have noted that it has become almost fashionable to criticize Gandhi. That from African critics we hear quotes of his racist language towards Africans while he was there. In India, the Dalits movement is very critical of the Gandhi's sort of support or understanding to the caste system, and then from the feminist sections we hear about this conduct with young women and so on. But nevertheless, I think, or especially because of the sort of critical voices emerging, it's also important to go with today's title, the truth talk. That what is the sort of truthful essence of Gandhiji, and I think there's a lot to discuss. So for the environment, all those who are from Finland or know Finland, the birth of modern environmental movement in Finland is considered to be the Koijärvi Satyagraha, we can say, non-violent action against draining an important lake for birds in 1979. And pretty much similar to the salt march, the lakes as such were not really a big, I mean, it was one of the issues, but not really the issue, the same way the salt was not really a hardcore item of the Indian freedom struggle. But somehow this action to prevent draining of the important lake for the birds galvanized especially the youth who wanted to have a change vis-a-vis environmental protection. And there 100 youngsters were arrested and sentenced with fines. So in Finnish standards it was very big. And I think over there what I've discussed, I was too young to participate, but what I've heard that there was hardly any reference to Gandhi. But then a good friend of mine from Sweden, Tord Björk, who is doing this movement history, that he says that actually it all, this civil disobedience for environmental concerns came from India and from the Gandhian tradition. And the link was through Norway. That in 1969, for the 100th birth anniversary of Gandhiji, some two scholars, Arne Næss, founder of eco-philosophy, and Johan Galtung, founder of peace research, they toured India extensively. They had already written about Gandhi and they were very familiar with the thought, but somehow this trip to India also put them in an action mode. That upon returning, they started this civil disobedience struggle against another dam on Mardøla River, which had a huge, beautiful waterfall, and Norway, in its modernization drive, had decided to make a hydroelectric dam there. And so this Professor Næss conducted civil disobedience classes in his philosophy institute, and went along with others to the site and tried to prevent the works. And the very Gandhian method of not opposing the police, but also not submitting to the police orders. So they were then dragged and sentenced with some fines and so on. So from this 1970 action of Mardøla, then this kind of phenomenon spread. There was a similar big one in Iceland, and then eventually to Finland also in 79. And the tradition continues. As we speak, there's an important struggle in Germany where people are trying to prevent the coal mine from extending and destroying an ancient forest near Cologne, the Hambacher Wald. So this, I think this kind of understanding of history, the flow of ideas is really important. And then when we do it truthfully, then we end up seeing how somebody who lived long ago, far away, like Gandhiji in India, has really made huge impact on the European environmentalism. Well, secondly, I'd like to say a few more words about this book, Hind Swaraj, that we decided to translate that in 2004, when the 75th anniversary of the Salt March was approaching, we thought this should be translated on that occasion and made the usual requests for grants and publishers, but were not successful. And then we just decided that we go the movement way, and we made out this call that please translate one page each, and so we can get it done. And it was done actually on those days in April and May when the Salt March had taken place 75 years ago. And I first read this book when I was a conscientious objector in the 90s, and then returned it thoroughly during the translation process. And I would really recommend it to anybody who has not yet read it, and with the kind of warning that it's a strange book. Because it's sort of outright rejection of modern civilization, modernity, and in a very friendly, easy language. And then also one should note the contradiction that while he said that press is not very good, railways are not very good, and so on, but himself, when he was at his work for the freedom of the oppressed people and the freedom of India, he used them like anything. He always, if he went somewhere, he would start a printing press and travel by railroads. So it's not that he thought rejecting modernity as an idea didn't make him into kind of recalls. I mean, go some ashram and just be outside of it, but try to make it better. And I think this is something we should think of, that yes, we are living and very dependent on modern structures, but then might it be that there's some fundamental problems in it? And I think there the environment is again a key thing, because next week there'll be again another report by the climate scientists saying that if we carry on like this, then this planet becomes very hostile to human species. I mean, life will continue and some species will flourish, but for humans, at least this civilization is in trouble. So could it have been that Gandhiji saw it already this 100 and how many years, 20 years back, that this kind of modern thinking, where his main criticism is that the morals get undermined, ethics are undermined, spirituality are undermined, that it is one of the driving forces for this kind of dysfunctional modernity, we could say, dependence on fossil fuels and dependence on monocultures and so on. So then to conclude, I would just say that I like this Gandhiji's way is important source of optimism and hope in this era of environmental gloom, one could even say, and some basic concepts from him, like or his talisman, that if you don't know what to do, think of the last person, the poorest person, and then you know. So if we want to have solutions to climate change or other environmental problem, that's one thing. Let's think how the poorest are coping. What is beneficial and necessary for the poorest, and not so that how we can carry on as a well-off classes with minimal changes. And then the concept of non-possession, aparigraha, if I'm correct, very clear message to the consumer society. Why should you stick to so many things, while good life actually might be with less? And then this Swadeshi Khadi, that if you can produce things locally and with more handwork, then that's a right way to do it. And then, of course, the non-violence extending to also other species. I think what Gandhiji certainly had in mind. That it's just not violence among humans, but also humans and non-human species. So in a way, because so many people that these problems are so huge, there's no way to solve them. But I think it's not complicated. We just take advice from some of the greatest souls and thinkers, and then go by them. Thank you.